Hi, just a quick demo here on Conti board cutting. Now, as we know, modern joinery is moving in the direction of prefabricated boards. Makes life a little easier, a bit quicker when we're making cabinets and shelving and all these kinds of things. It doesn't mean the skill of joinery is dying off, more it's changing. And we've got to adapt to it. So we have to learn new techniques for dealing with the new materials. Conti board's a wonderful one. We have many types of surfaced boards that have come out. Conti board, the one with this sprayed surface, seems to be the most popular. So that's the one that I'm going to cover. Cutting it, however, can be quite a nightmare. I've got a couple of samples cuts on here where you'll see this one, where you can see there, very ragged edge. That's cut with an electric saw, so if I'd done it with a hand saw, it would obviously be even more ragged. A reasonably straight line, but the surface finish of that is, well, not usable really, not if you're going to make a nice piece of furniture. Even the other side, which is supposed to be the good side, with a handheld one, can still be pretty ropey. And then if you start trying to plane that out, you're just going to add to it and make the mess even more messy. Then I put it on the saw table, very fine cut blade, nice and steady, but still, when you look close, it isn't a perfect edge at all. Now then, luckily, the industry has caught up and has come out with things that we can use ourselves as DIYers or small tradespeople to combat this and to make sure that we get finished jobs just as good as they get in the factory. Saw tables like this with the double blade, a scoring blade. As you raise the blade, a second blade comes up which will score the line that you're going to cut. The idea is the blade cuts the opposite way and takes in just about a millimetre of the surface, which takes away that laminate coating that you've got on there and leaves a nice clean line for your main blade to cut through, so it's not hitting onto the laminate and chipping it off. That way you get a nice clean cut. They're a little bit fiddly to set up initially, but once they're set up, beautiful cuts every time. So just for a quick demonstration, here you can see, as I raise up that blade, up comes the scoring blade, which is just a fine blade, as I say there, that will run opposite direction to the main blade, scoring the laminate before we get to it. Now what I'll do is take the worst edge, that's this edge here, and cut it again using the scoring blade, and let you see the difference that you get with such a blade. And there we have, as you can see, a beautifully clean cut edge on both sides. So that now is ready for edging, and once the edging is on and trimmed with the correct tool, that will be as beautiful as you'll buy in any shop, if not more so, because they don't take as much care in factories as we do. And as you can see with the offcut there, it also shows it. But yes, I know, I can guess what you're saying. You've got a good couple of £1,000 worth of equipment here at least. Not all of you is going to have that. In fact, probably not a lot of you is going to have that sort of equipment just around the home to make furniture. So we need other methods. Other methods to get around not having that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is remove my scoring blade. I just lower it down. Now it's no longer in play. This standard practice for using the saw table when you're not using laminates. Now I will cut again. A nice clean line there. Now I'll cut it with the saw table without. And then you'll see the top side of it, very nice, always is. This is why we say always cut on the opposite side of what you want. But when you turn it over, you can see there, it's like a toothed edge, all ragged all the way along. But there is a way of getting around it without the expense of a scoring blade. So what we need is a straight edge clamp. I use a straight edge clamp. You can use any straight edge as long as you can be sure it's not going to move. The idea of a straight edge clamp is you can clamp it in place and it will stay. Absolutely perfect. Now I want this to be exact to that. That's important, what we're going to do. So use a gauge, whatever gauge you've got, set it. That's my maximum, so that's where I'll go. So now that is exactly parallel with that edge there. What I want to do is cut this on the saw table again like I did, but without damaging the laminate. So I'll start off, so this edge is going to follow the rip fence of the saw table, so the line that the saw blade is going to cut is going to be parallel with that. So the line I want to make now wants also to be parallel. So if you marked it with your pencil, because you're going to do this piece of work, this wants to go just on the line. You are going to keep everything to the good side of this blade. Now some people say you put masking tape on, that will help. It does a little bit, but not that much, because it will still push the masking tape out of the way and chip the edge. It can cut down the severity of it, but it won't stop it happening. Now using the Stanley knife blade, the only problem is you've got a double pitch on the blade. If you've got a marking knife, which is a single pitched blade, i.e. it's nice and flat on one side, and that side goes against the straight edge. I've got one, but there's no point in using it for you. You probably haven't got such a thing. So I want to demonstrate using what we've all got. A standard Stanley knife. Now you can see on my second attempt of the line, because the blade was a bit rubbish on the first attempt, I've got a nice clean scored line. You see there? That is the inner one here. Forget the outer one, that's the first attempt that's had a bad blade. But that's what you want, a nice clean line. Now next you want to cut it through the saw table, making sure your blade does not touch this side of that line. So careful alignment of your saw table should give you a nice clean cut. And I'm feeling confident with that, so let's give it a go. Now, as you can see there, a very nice clean line. I wouldn't say it's perfect like the scoring blade, but it's pretty damn good. I would say if you was buying that in the shop, you would say that was a clean edge. So, we have it. If you need to cut the laminate on a very, very regular basis, like I do quite often, the way to go is by getting a saw table with a scoring blade, set it up, and you will get beautiful cuts every time. You can manufacture furniture like they do in the factory. Very quick and very clean. If it's just a small project and you want to get a nice tidy job of it, then the other way is using a straight edge, don't let it move, and make sure it's parallel. And a good sharp knife. Try and keep the sharp knife as square to the straight edge as possible. Not let the blade straighten itself up. Keep the pitch. You'll understand when you're doing it. You do it that way, then nice and steady through the saw table, and it's done. If you don't have a saw table and you're doing it by hand, then I would suggest that you use very slow strokes when you're cutting. With a hand saw, very difficult with laminates, because a slight little wobble, you're chipping either top or bottom. So it's always better if you can work it on a saw table. Even a cheap saw table will do it. It's straight and it stays still. Okay, right, well that's it. That's the end of the little insight for today. Any questions, give us a little message at the bottom and I'm sure to answer it. Thanks for watching again. Bye for now.